What's going on, YouTube and y'all squad? This is your boy Yakutees. This is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 4, episode 17. So, again, another decent episode. Okay. Gonna give it like a B plus. Okay. So let's get into it. We pick up where we left off. So we have Dr. Francis telling the Whitlows, or as I guess I'm gonna start calling them Tiffy Lou. Everything isn't what it appears with them, like what you make it out to be. And Tiffany is confused because there is no falseness in what they are expressing. And Dr. Francis said, "You remember how I wrote game on the board earlier, right?" And he says the first level is you play the game. The second level is when your game is discovered, you play a game of not playing the game. And that's where you are. And then he says, once you own the game to be yours, to be your reality, it is no longer a false game. It is a part of you and you will act it out. And Lou asks if he feels their marriage is intact. Now, see, this is one of those things where I like, I tell people, don't ask me a question you don't want the answer to. But Dr. Friends pretty much says what he saw this morning raises questions about their interpersonal relationship. He was being real cute and polite with it. Dr. Francis really ain't trying to ruffle too many feathers because, if he does, he probably won't be able to really reach them. So that's cute. That's cute. So next morning, Marcel, made a little bit of breakfast, which I'm like, okay, that's nice. That's cute. Now, I was cringing a little bit because he was using a metal utensil on that non-stick skillet. I was cringing. For those of y'all who got non-stick, y'all know what it is. Unless you got one of those brands that truly claim that you can use metal utensil, I was like, ooh. I felt the way. So why is my watch going on? Okay, whatever. So Tiffy Lou, Marceau, and Tisha talk. Lou says he you have to know your marriage before coming into a situation like this. When things are identified, yeah, you can work on it, but if you don't know your marriage, it can be bad, etc., etc. Pretty much, he is Marceau in this. Y'all know how when Marceau get to talking and giving you analogies and all this other stuff, and it's just like, sir, what is you saying? Do you even believe what you're saying? Do you even know what you're saying? I'm just looking at Lou like, Hirsch. Just Hirsch. So then Lou brings up the reunion, which one thing I do like about the Love and Marriages, or I should just say Love and Marriage Huntsville, because we would need Love and Marriage DC to get a second season to see if this holds true there. But with this particular show, I like that they address the reunion and not kind of like maneuver about as if it never happened or have to talk around in circles. I appreciate them just being forthcoming with it. But him saying, he brings up the reunion and, his comments on their marriage. Now, because of how he felt yesterday about someone speaking on their marriage and not knowing nothing about it, he says, he owed them an apology. Now, I want to stop here to say he said he owed them an apology. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall him apologizing. I just recall him saying he owed them apology. But why did it take someone having to do it to you for you to understand that that's probably not something that you want to do? Like I do understand for some people it's they can never understand it until they've been in it, but that's where you can, empathize. You don't necessarily have to be able to go through something to understand how it feels, or you may not have gone through the same exact thing, but you can correlate that to something of a lesser degree to be able to connect and understand. That's not something that you do. But anyway, Marceau asked them, how does it feel to be professionally diagnosed as fake? I said, that look, I don't be here for Marceau, but I was here for that little Patty Shady cop. I was here for it. I really was, especially if I was in his shoes where I have somebody that don't know me from Adam, don't know me from a can of paint, sitting here trying to talk about my marriage. Oh no, I'm gonna have something for you. Which y'all know I'm petty. Y'all know that. So Kimmy and Maurice join. Tiffany wants to know if Dr. Francis is back because he's an hour late, cracking a joke because of how he gave Letitia and Marceau such a hard time. Again, this is some deflection. And here's the thing, y'all are eating breakfast, so unless y'all have a session that revolves around breakfast, man, but you're doing too much. You're really doing too much. And I'm sitting here just like, now, if Dr. Francis crack your face with some hard truths, I don't want to hear you cry. So Kimmy says to Tiffany Lou that they give advice, but when it's offered, they don't want it. Lou says for someone to dissect me and my marriage in 6 seconds. Oh, Kimmy came back with the quickness. You did it to Marceau. I was like, oh, Kimmy with the quick. Okay, quick comeback. She says, you're not open to advice. Lou says, well, I mean, when I hear it, I say, I hear you. And Marceau pretty much made it clear, just like giving the attitude and the tone, it's different. Because you can say, I hear you more than one way, and based off of how you say it, is going to, it's going to have a different meaning. So the way that they've been saying is, it's more of a dismissive, I hear you, rather than, okay, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm chewing it slowly. I'm letting it digest. I'm letting it, marinate in my stomach and everything. Okay, cool, got it. Like you're really taking it in, not just like, oh, I took a bite of it, and now you turned your head, and now I just spit what I just ate into my napkin and then moved it off to the side. That type of stuff. So Lou says at that time he didn't want to hear it. And Kimmy says, to Tiff, they had a conversation about her wanting kids. That was totally different than the conversation she had last night. And Tiffany is saying that there were layers to the conversation that was being had, and that piece was just thrown in there, which I can understand it. But when it comes to stuff like that, you have to be able to keep the conversation on course. Just saying. But still, I mean, there still should be a level of transparency, because it does come off as being fake. How, okay, well, you had a conversation with me one-on-one about this, and this was your response, but last night it's something different. So, like, what's going on? What's tea? Like, did something really change between then and now? Don't know. And then Tiffany, Tiffany. What is going on? I got coffee right here. I didn't even drink it. Hold on, y'all. Okay, all right. So Tiffany says, oh no, I said that already. So the Scott brothers said that energy that they're having right now is the energy that they should have had last night. So if you truly feel like, no, I don't agree, no, F this, da 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 da, you should have had that same energy last night. Not saying that you have to be confrontational, but again, being honest, being genuine in the moment, because again, not doing that, but having all this to say now is coming across fake. Now, it's one thing, because y'all know when you having a verbal spar with somebody and once the conversation is over and you have a moment to think and then you think of all the comebacks you could have said, that's one thing. In this particular instance, you had a way of feeling, you just chose not to express those feelings. But now with the entities that exist, Dr. Francis and his wife, now they're not there. Now you have all this smoke. Come on now. So then Marceau says he feels that he doesn't respect the man's, title / education / degree. Something along those lines. And then Lou begins to Marceau yet again. That is, you know what? That is now a thing right now. Okay, Marceauing. Because he gonna say, so there's a difference between smarts and wisdom. Like, sir, don't sit here and remix something that we've been saying for a long, long time. Don't say, what Dr. Francis has is book smarts. He has wisdom. He also has practical application. He also has experiences. He also has a level of discernment. But I guess you don't want to hear that. So, okay, all right, sir. And Kimmy says if they care about the opinions of those that are sitting at the table, the other couples, because it appears that they do, that can their can they alter or adjust their response slash energy? Maybe, just maybe, that will change the perception if that's, something that they really care about. And I'm gonna get Mel and them out the way right quick. So Mel meets with Marlene. Mel says, there has been a gap in their communication. And, wants them to figure out what the issue is and how to move on. She feels that, last year, when they stopped talking, no, she feels it was last year when they started talking. And Mel tells us that Marlene and Martell had claimed that, when Martell and Marlene was dogging her out is when she decided to block Marlene. So Mel asked if she felt she spoke negatively of her, and Marlene says no. So then Mel uh, lets us know that she sent a text calling Martell a liar. Well, this was actually posted on the screen, the text message, saying that Marlene upholds his BS, which she does. Which she does. Let me phrase that. Based off of what we've seen on this show, she does. And doesn't hold him accountable, nor have him accept responsibility. Based off the show, yes, I agree with all of that. And she says what hurt her was Marlene saying Mel was going to put her son in the grave like she doesn't do anything. And Mel asked, did Martell come to her, like, I do everything, I do so much, Mel's going to kill me, blah, blah, blah. Marlene says no, I said it. Now, obviously, Mel looked like, oh, really? And then she says, you was spoiled, he had you spoiled, and you was lazy. And Mel jokingly and sarcastically plays it off like, "Oh, I was lazy." I mean, because let's be clear, based off of what we've seen from the show, just the show, Mel ain't showed no signs of being lazy, even when she was pregnant with their last child. No signs of being lazy. So I don't know where that's coming from. So then, um, she says Martell. I believe she said Martell reminded her. Maybe she reminded Martell. Y'all correct me on who told who. But Marlene has said that those two, they work too much, and they need to sit their tails down because they doing too much. And Mel also said while married, they waited on each other. So when she was, and I found it particularly interesting when she said that pretty much all day, every day, she made sure that he was okay. When she was pregnant, is when he cared and waited on her. I found that to be interesting. Like, oh, so when she's pregnant, it's the only time that she need to be waited on. Okay. All right then. Marlene says that okay, well, she did say the whole, well, you gonna put my son in the grave thing, and it's a new day. And I get it. I just don't like that type of response. Because look, y'all hear me talk about the breakdown of generations all the time. And I'm sorry, that's very indicative of the baby boomers. I'm just going to call a thing a thing. It's one of those where you will be hard pressed to get a baby boomer to apologize. Now, she did accept this. Like, she said, like, I said that, yes. But today is a new day, so it ain't no apology coming. Okay, I'm not admitting that I'm wrong. I'm just letting you know that I said it. I'm just like, know that all too well. So Mel unblocks her, and she says that she wants them to go back to things being how they were. And I believe there was only one others. Yeah, and there was only one of the scene outside of the tree that we're about to get back to. And that was Martell and Marlene. Martell is having to increase production on his, produce on demand, that's Shay, wine, and he's having to order new bottles, and Mama Marlene tells him how she spoke with Mel and how things appear to be on the up and up. But even in the conversation, Martell's throwing his little jabs at Mel, so I'm like, all right, just can't leave well enough alone, but all right, I get it. Anyway, so back at the retreat, so they have an exercise called Heart to Heart, and Dr. Francis says there needs to be total honesty, no matter the cost. If you can't do it, don't sit in these chairs. And we only got a portion because obviously there's three couples there, so we only got one couple and we only got a piece of it. We didn't get the whole thing. But and it makes me think because we find out in the next episode that Tiffy Lou left. So I wonder if all of what we didn't see was them going real hard, real heavy. I don't know. But Dr. Francis brings up the fact that, Tiffany was tearful the night before when, the whole her having losses were brought up. And she was like, she hadn't pretty much scratched that wound in many years. But he's like, though you haven't scratched it, it's very prevalent. Like, it still, holds weight even to this day. And then he asked the group, how many of you have currently experienced loss? So Lou, raises his hand and Tisha raises her hand. So then he goes straight to Lou. It's like, okay, well, wait, what did he say to him exactly? How did you handle it? And Lou says, it's never easy. And quickly, Dr. Francis cut that record just like, I didn't ask you that. I asked you, how did you handle it? Which I was here for, which is like, sir, answer the question. Okay, stop going around the mulberry bush. Okay, just answer the question. So Lou says he was hurt, angry, upset. He isolates himself. And that right there was something that I think really was because again, like the emotions that he mentioned is typical when people hurt. But how he dealt with it, because again, he said, I was angry, I was mad. Okay, that's how you felt. But how he dealt with it was he isolated himself from other people. That's something I can attest to because I've often done that when I've lost certain individuals in my life. So I understand that. That's how he dealt with it. That is a coping mechanism. And he then says, that is why it's great to have people in your life to help you get through it. And then this is when Lou begins to cry. And then he says, that is what drives him, and mentions that he was upset about their relationship being the game comment, whatever. And it's just like, even though the floodgates were open. So because the breakthrough happened, the floodgates were open, and that's going to transfer into a later scene, which I actually think is the next scene. Outside of, the whole other people being placed in there, because we still ain't seen Destiny in these two episodes, but ain't none of my business. But the floodgates were open, and you even have Dr. Francis, rubbing his back, just like, hey, here we, wanting him to really be in that moment, like there is progress here. And Tisha reveals how her best friend from college had suddenly passed, had just celebrated, their B-Day, next day collapsed. And, leaving behind a 2-month-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm just like, ooh. Because, again, we know many of us want, the natural order of things to happen. And no parent wants, actually, let me phrase that. Parents do want to supersede their children in death, but never when they're that young. So that is sad. And I don't know. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that also adds to why Tisha was feeling away, because it's just like, not only did I lose my friend, but now these children are so young growing up without a parent. How is this going to shape them? So it's a lot. And then they talk about, the fragility of life. Ooh, let me get through this review because I don't know what I'm doing today. Look, y'all, for y'all, it's 12:13 in the afternoon. I'm just gonna throw that out there, and I'm just drinking some coffee. So I didn't watch this review awake, but just not fully here. We ain't talking about me. Back to this dang old thing. So Tiff and Lou talk about the exercise, and Tiff feels that it was also connected, to like some of what he was expressing connected to his relationship with his father. And Lou says that, his father wasn't present with him growing up because he spent most of his time making sure that he provided for the family. And again, this is something that I know it's just with the opposite parent. My mother, single mother, since I was 2 years old. father was around, but it is what it is. And when she went back into the workforce, I kid you not, she wakes up round about what 5 in the morning. So she's the first one to get ready, wakes us up or whatnot. She's gone by 7, and she had to travel to get to work. And then by the time, so a regular 9 to 5, gets off probably back home round about 7. Took an hour off to kind of get herself together, and then put food on the table. And then after she eats, going to sleep around about 10 o'clock, 11, and then waking right back up and doing it all over again. So I understand having a parent that is not physically, emotionally there because they're trying to make sure that they are providing for their family. I get it. But he did say when he, finally said something to his father, I want to assume either in his late adolescence or maybe, yeah, probably mid to late adolescence, that his father, showed up and whatnot. And Tiffany says she receives that because, her doing all this work and whatnot, and then wanting to bring a child in, she's kind of receiving his feelings on that. Oh, damn, I just spilled coffee on my dang notes and stuff. Dang, nabbit. We almost done, y'all. All right, so we get Marceau, Tisha, and Dr. Francis. Marceau says they've been sure of their marriage, up for years, up until the last 4 years. Things are constantly, reining in, external friction, feedback from people critiquing their marriage. He mentions gender roles. Then you have Tisha mentioning gender roles and also saying how, the Lord bless her with a husband and, just wanting to believe him, ignoring outside forces. And then she brings up obedience, or maybe it's submission. And the fact that obedience was the first word that she said and not submission says a whole lot about the dynamics of their relationship and where her mindset is. And yeah, I'm gonna let that go because this review is already long enough. So I'm gonna just let that go. Yeah, but she pretty much won't stop listening to the outside sources. Marceau says he doesn't make decisions unilaterally, and that he talks it out with Tisha. And Dr. Francis just says real quick and smooth, there is no need to argue when it comes to the truth, because the truth stands all by itself. I think he knows something, but he like, again, I'm gonna keep it cute for y'all. So we end with Kimmy, Maurice, and Dr. Francis. I still want to say I think Maurice is full of it when it comes to his storyline, when it comes to his wife. Let me not say that because we don't know what's going to happen with Kimmy, but I'm pretty sure whatever happens with her, he's probably not going to be begging her for sex after this. But I'm just saying, I feel like it's put on just to, keep their spot on the show. Anyway, Maurice says that he was having apprehension about coming and says that, to be rewarded for doing this, that they should be having, relations twice a day. And he doesn't see why a husband and wife can have sex regularly. He doesn't feel one spouse should refuse the other. Dr. Francis asked him, did you ever think that a woman has the right over her body? Good question. But see, the thing is, it's real quick to dismiss that. But you really have to think about it because of the patriarchal society that we live in and back to gender roles and how these things have been pushed and pressed upon us. And the fact that, to quote Erica De Niro, I believe she says that most men view women as a mattress and a mule. Was that it? Mattress and a mule? Might have been one more M. But yeah, mattress and a mule. Which is literally what he wants his wife to be. I don't necessarily believe it because, again, I believe it's a storyline. But in the event that this is real, that's what that is. And then he says, Kimmy, and he being Maurice says, Kimmy thinks 2 times a day is excessive. How much is excessive? Well, what you think is excessive, what everybody's going to have a different perception of what excessive is, especially when it comes down to how, because he ain't said making love, he just said having sex. When it comes to how much work is being put into, having sex. Because if you just sitting there and laying there and she's doing all of the work, yeah, you can sit back and be like, yeah, what's 2 times a day if literally you ain't having to do much of anything? and you're receiving and you're not giving, right? But again, keeping it PG because I ain't trying to get this video flagged and whatnot. She says while they were dating, it was easy, but I'm sorry, she was saying it was easy because I wasn't taking care of a house. I wasn't taking care of a husband and two boys that's in the house. But now that I am, it's different. They have sex, and after the fact, there is still responsibilities that need to be had. Cleaning up the house, getting stuff ready for the next day, meal prepping, all this laundry, the whole gambit. And because of gender roles, he feels that certain things are not man's, duties. And so with that being said, once the act is done, he gets to just sit there, watch TV, roll over, go see whatever. But she still has to continue to work. So it is insensitive asking her for, sex that often when he's not contributing to the household because of gender roles. And then she also mentions how, that affects the boys when they see that. And what that also does is you are creating um, boys turn into men that are going to be dependent upon women to do these simple acts that they can. Because here's the reality: everybody can cook, but you should know how to cook well enough to sustain yourself. All right, there should be no such thing as gender roles when it comes to just sustaining oneself. Everybody should know how to cook. Everybody should know how to clean. Everybody should know how to do laundry. Everybody should know how to wash dishes. Like all these things should be standard. And what should be in their relationship when it comes to the household, it should be equal. Where okay, well, I'm going go downstairs and meal prep. Can you go ahead and get the laundry? Can you do like it should be even? Especially, she didn't even mention the fact that she still has to go to work. So they're both going to work. So that's the let me not get so deep into this, but that is messed up the fact that both of y'all have a job. So she has to come home in addition to sitting here and giving you what you need, sexually. She still has to go and take care of a household while you sit there and do nothing. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go because if I don't, I'm really gonna sit here and say some stuff. But that's it. That's all I got. That's the review. Y'all leave y'all comments down below. So with that being said, again, make sure y'all catch us for the What Do You Like on our panel on Tuesday. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you all for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Peace.